In one of the rooms in a dormitory for female students, Hala was sleeping, her black hair spread across the pillow. At exactly 8 in the morning, she woke up, barely able to open her eyes as she had stayed up all night studying. She was at the beginning of her final academic year, studying English at the Faculty of Arts, Cairo University. Hala went to the bathroom to wash and perform ablution before praying duha and heading to her college for her first lecture at 10 o'clock. Hala usually walked to the university to save money for the whole month. She came from a simple family living in the countryside and was the only daughter of her elderly mother, who raised her alone after her father's death when she was a little girl. Hala had a strong personality and refined manners, which made her many friends. Her academic excellence also placed her among the top 5 students every year. Hala always looked forward to the day she would finish her studies, be appointed as an assistant lecturer, and bring joy to her precious mother. She thought to herself, "Hala, I miss you so much, Mom. Just 2 more lectures and I'll catch the train to see you and sleep in your arms tonight. I wonder if you made me my favorite molokhia or potato casserole. My stomach's had enough of beans and falafel. Oh, I hope time flies." Hala finished her lectures and headed to the exit when she was stopped by the voice of her classmate, Sharif, who could not hide his admiration for her despite his efforts. "Sharif, Hala. Where are you going in such a hurry?" Hala, trying to end the conversation quickly, "Hi Sharif, sorry, I'm traveling home today and need to catch the train." "Excuse me. Sharif, do you want me to drive you to the station?" Hala, bored, "Sharif, it's been 3 years, and now the 4th, I told you, I don't ride in cars with anyone." "Sharif, but we're classmates in the same college." Hala, "Sorry, Sharif, excuse me." Hala walked away while Sharif watched her, and his friend Haney approached him. "Haney, what's with you, man? Where did you go?" "Sharif, she's driving me crazy, Haney." Hala arrived at her village and felt a rush of comfort and safety. Here, she was born, and here she spent her childhood with her parents. Here, she felt warmth and happiness. She could smell the green fields and fruit trees. Breathing deeply, Hala set off to her beloved home and dear mother. She knocked on the door, but it didn't open. "Where are you, Mom? Are you sleeping or out to buy some things?" Hala went to ask their neighbor, Mrs. Fatima, about her mother. "Hala, peace be upon you, Mrs. Fatima. Do you know where Mom is?" Fatima, somberly, "Thank God you're back safely, my dear." Hala, fearfully, "Where is my mom?" Fatima, "Don't worry, my child. Your mom is fine but she's a bit ill. We took her to the public hospital 2 days ago." Without completing her conversation, Hala ran towards the hospital to see her mother. She reached the only hospital in their simple village and inquired about her mother, finding she was on the 1st floor in the kidney department. She ascended the stairs, still breathless from the run, and entered the room filled with numerous beds and patients. She scanned the faces and finally saw a gentle face asleep, marked with intense pain. Approaching her mother and kissing her forehead softly, Hala whispered, "Mom, I'm here, my love." Her mother slowly opened her eyes to see her beloved daughter, Hala. "Thank God you're back safely. When did you arrive?" Hala, tears streaming down her face, "I just arrived and came running to you." "Mother, don't cry, my love. I'm okay." Hala, unable to stop crying, "What are you feeling?" "Mother, just some pain in my side." Hala, "What did the doctor say?" "Mother, he said I need kidney dialysis." Hala felt terrified. How could she afford the treatment for her mother? Hala, comforting her mother, "Don't worry, Mom. You'll recover and come home soon." "Mother, it doesn't look like it, Hala." "Hala, don't say that. You'll live to see my children, just like you always prayed for." "Mother, I wanted to see you happy, my love." "Hala, you'll be okay, God willing." "Mother, the pain intensifying, take care." Take care of yourself. Hala, you too. Hala hugged her mother and cried, fearful of losing her as she had lost her father before. Scared of living alone in this harsh world. A doctor's voice came from behind. Doctor, how are you today, Mrs. Mother? Fine, son, thank God. Doctor, okay, it's time for your painkiller. Mother, all right. Hala, doctor, how is she? Doctor, you're her daughter, right? Hala, yes, I am. Doctor, I hate to say this, but she needs kidney dialysis twice a week until we can do surgery. Hala, and how much does the dialysis cost? The doctor, sympathetically, £200 per session, and she needs it 3 times a week. Hala felt dizzy. Where would she find such a large sum? How would she treat her mother? Hala bid her mother farewell with tears and rushed to catch the last train to Cairo to start working early in the morning, as tomorrow was Friday. Sitting on her train seat, she was in another world. Would she find a suitable job? Would she earn enough to cover her mother's treatment costs? Could she continue her studies with such burdens? Oh God, ease my affairs and heal my dear mother. Only you have the power and wisdom to manage my circumstances. Hala entered her room at the girls' dormitory to find her friend Alia still awake. Upon seeing her, Hala burst into tears. Alia hugged her, trying to calm her friend down and understand what had brought her back from her village at night. Alia, deeply concerned, what's wrong, Hala? What happened? Hala, amidst her tears, Mom, she's terribly ill, Alia. Alia, calm down and tell me exactly what happened. Hala sat on her bed and recounted everything that had happened since she reached her village and until she returned. Hala woke up from her fitful sleep, performed her prayers, and gently woke Alia. Alia, let's go, we need to get moving, Hala said softly. Alia yawned and replied, it's still so early, Lolo. Hala, with resolve, said, I need to get there early so I can be the first to apply for the job. Alia sighed, alright, I'll get dressed. Hala put on her long white shirt, jeans, her only handbag, and simple white shoes. She gathered her hair into a ponytail and prayed for success. Alia finished dressing, and the two friends set off for the address in the quiet Zamalek district. When they arrived, they found themselves standing in front of a palatial mansion, reminiscent of an Arabian Nights tale. The girls exchanged uncertain glances before Alia broke the tension with a smile. Wow, what a place! This is a job or what? Hala replied, well, let's see if I get it first. Alia reassured her, don't worry, it'll be yours, God willing. They entered the mansion, greeted by the garden filled with colorful flowers and fruit trees. With each step closer to the grand door, the scent of jasmine grew stronger. Hala's anxiety grew, and Alia sensed it, so she took the initiative and rang the bell. After what felt like an eternity to Hala, a tall young man with piercing dark eyes opened the door. Hala couldn't look away. The young man broke the silence, how can I help you? Alia nudged Hala and said, peace be upon you, we're here for the job ad in the magazine. He looked at the magazine in Alia's hand and said, yes, but the job's for one girl, not two. Alia quickly clarified, my friend Hala is the one applying. The young man shifted his gaze to Hala and sarcastically asked, can't your friend speak for herself? Feeling mocked, Hala replied sharply, I can speak for myself, thank you. The young man, with a mysterious look, invited them in. They followed him, marveling at the high walls adorned with expensive paintings and ornaments, the grand dining table set for 12, the curtains draped over tall windows. The young man's voice brought them back, please, have a seat. He introduced himself, I am Basil Al-Adi. The job is to be a companion for my mother, Madame Carryman. Hala asked, what are the job requirements? Basil, scrutinizing her, said, she must be calm, educated, and patient. Hala introduced herself, my name is Hala Ibrahim, I'm in my final year of studying English literature. Basil asked, why do you need a job while you're studying? Hala simply replied, personal reasons. She silently prayed for his approval. After some thought, Basil said, the job requires full-time presence, ideally staying here. Seeing this as a chance to save on her student housing expenses, Hala quickly agreed. Alia, concerned, asked, what about college, Hala? Hala firmly replied, it's not a problem now. Basil, noticing her determination, said, you can attend your classes, my mother wakes up late anyway, and the house has a manager and several staff. Hala, in disbelief, asked, really? Basil confirmed, yes, you can balance both. Hala asked about the salary. £3,000, Basil replied. Hala looked at Alia to confirm she wasn't dreaming. Hala left the mansion thrilled, heading back to the student dorm to pack her few belongings. Hala couldn't find Mrs. Samia in the hall, so she decided to look for her. She found a door she thought might lead to the kitchen, knocked on it, and entered. To her surprise, she found herself in a spacious room with a vast library of books. By the window stood a desk cluttered with papers and a modern computer. Hala sensed this must be Basil's office and quickly decided to leave, but she bumped into a broad chest that smelled of French cologne. When she looked up, she saw a pair of mysterious eyes staring back at her. Basil, do you need something? Hala, blushing deeply, replied, I was looking for Madame Samia. Basil stepped aside, allowing her to pass, and said, you'll find her in the drawing room with my mother. It's the second door on the left. Hala hurried, her heart pounding loudly. When she reached the door, she knocked, took a deep breath, and opened it. She found herself in a beautiful room filled with sofas, chairs, and brightly colored embroidered cushions. Mrs. Samia sat next to a woman wearing elegant black glasses and classic clothing. Hala immediately recognized her as Mrs. Careyman, Basil's mother. The silence following Hala's entrance was broken by Mrs. Samia. Come in, Hala, I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Careyman. Hala shyly said, it's an honor to meet you, ma'am. Careyman, in a gentle voice, replied, how are you, Hala? You sound young. Hala feared that Mrs. Careyman might reject her because of her age. I'm almost 20, ma'am. Careyman, smiling as if she understood Hala's concern, oh, you're quite grown up then. Trying to appear confident, Hala said, I'm thrilled to be working with you starting today. Careyman, feeling sorry for herself, I hope you won't get bored sitting with an old, blind woman. Hala, not at all, ma'am. I liked you from the moment I saw your beautiful picture. Careyman, her smile returning, the one on the staircase? Hala, smiling warmly, yes, indeed. Careyman, that was a long time ago. Hala, you still look lovely. Careyman, I'll show you all my photo albums, and you can tell me what you think. Hala, laughing, I'd love to, ma'am. Careyman, let's take a walk in the garden. Hala hesitated, not sure if she should take Careyman's hand to help her or let her move independently, so she glanced at Mrs. Samia for guidance. Samia quickly said, by the way, Mrs. Careyman knows the garden better than any of us. Relieved, Hala smiled at Mrs. Samia in thanks and approached Careyman, saying, I'd love for you to show me your garden. Careyman rose and headed towards the garden, with Hala walking silently beside her. Meanwhile, a pair of eyes watched them from the window, hoping Careyman would like Hala and not dismiss her as she had the previous ones. Feeling a sense of comfort in Hala's quiet company, Careyman asked, are you studying or have you graduated? Hala, I'm in my final year of arts college. Careyman, which department? Hala, English. Careyman, really? I did all my studies in English. Hala, amazing. Careyman, could you read some of my stories to me at night? Hala, of course, ma'am. Careyman smiled and continued to walk slowly through the garden with Hala by her side. Later, Hala went to her room as Careyman had advised her to rest before going to college in the morning. Hala felt happy, knowing that both Careyman and Basil agreed to let her continue attending her lectures. She changed into a modest blue cotton nightgown and got into bed, feeling more comfortable than she had ever felt before. The old bed at the student hostel creaked loudly whenever she moved. Smiling, Hala quickly fell asleep, dreaming of her beloved mother, tears falling from her eyes as she slept. At 7 a.m., Hala woke up, put on the same clothes, as she didn't have many, and went downstairs to head to college. Hala finished her lectures and exited the university's main gate to find Basil's driver waiting for her. She got into the car feeling deeply saddened. Her classmates had misunderstood her circumstances, and she didn't want to talk about her mother's illness because she didn't want anyone's pity. With her brown hair hanging softly to her shoulders, she looked down, trying to avoid the disdainful gaze of Lily. Her silence was soon broken by Carrieman's sharp tone. "What are you saying, Lily? What's all this talk about servants?" "Sorry, Auntie, I didn't mean it," Lily replied. "This is Hala, my companion, and, by the way, she's in her final year of English literature," Carrieman introduced. Looking at Hala with thinly veiled malice, Lily muttered, "Hello." "Hello," Hala responded in a sorrowful tone. "Lily is Basil's fiancée," Carrieman added. Hala could hardly believe that this arrogant young woman would be Basil's wife, Basil, who was so distinguished and humble. Hala felt she could never like Lily, but she reminded herself she needed to accept and obey everyone for the sake of her ailing mother. Lily sat beside Carrieman and chatted away, completely ignoring Hala. An hour passed, and Basil entered the room. "When did you get here, Lily?" he asked. "Been here an hour, baby. I've been chatting with Auntie to keep her company," Lily replied, planting a kiss on his cheek. "How are you, Mom?" Basil asked. "Thank God, I'm well," Carrieman answered. Noticing Hala's sadness, Basil asked her gently, "How are you, Hala?" "Wait, is she living in the mansion?" Lily interrupted, incredulous. "Yes, Lily, she stays here to take care of Mom," Basil explained. "Oh, of course, makes sense," Lily said slyly. Fighting back tears, Hala rushed out of the room. Why was she enduring all of this? She whispered a prayer, asking for strength to continue her mother's treatment. A month had passed since Hala began working at the mansion. She continued attending her lectures and returning to care for Carrieman, who had grown fond of Hala. They became friends, discussing various political and economic matters, which Hala found educational and enjoyable. In the evenings, Hala would escort Carrieman to her room, sometimes reading to her until she fell asleep, then retreat to her own room to study. Hala often thought of her beloved mother. Despite living in the same house, Hala rarely saw Basil, who was always busy, and she wondered if he was intentionally avoiding her. On a Thursday morning, Hala woke up contemplating how to request a 2-day leave to visit her mother and ask for the salary she desperately needed. Dressing quickly, she aimed to catch Basil before he left for work. She found him organizing his papers, ready to leave. "Good morning, Hala," he greeted her. "Good morning," she replied shyly. "Got an early lecture today?" he asked. "No, I need to talk to you about something important," she said. "What's up?" Basil asked, genuinely concerned. "I need to travel back home to check on my mother," Hala explained. "How long will you be gone?" "Just 2 days, I'll be back soon," she said, her eyes gleaming with joy at his approval. "Do you want the driver to take you?" he offered. "No, no need. I'll take the train," Hala quickly responded. Basil sat in his office, feet propped up, lost in thought about Hala. He didn't think about her often. Why did he intentionally avoid seeing her? What made her special? Her gentleness or her kind heart? Could he be infatuated with her? And what about his fiancée Lily? Was he not convinced of her? Or had he become engaged to her only because she was socially suitable? Could he bear Hala's absence from home? Hala spent Thursday with her mother, feeding her by hand and talking about her new job, managing to put a smile on her mother's kind face. In the evening, she bid her mother farewell and returned to her home, alone. She made herself a cup of tea and, against her will, found Basil's image occupying her thoughts. She tried to stop thinking about him but couldn't. Did he love Lily? Would he marry her? Of course, he would. She was stunning and came from a wealthy family like his. She also acted as if they shared a grand love story. Hala fell asleep thinking of Basil and dreamed of him laughing and walking beside Lily. Friday was dull for Mrs. Careyman, who missed Hala dearly. When Basil came to check on her, she asked him when Hala would return. Probably tomorrow morning, he replied. Careyman expressed concern for not having Hala's mobile number. Basil explained she didn't have one. Careyman insisted Basil should buy her one so she could reach her whenever necessary. Basil promised, smiling. I've grown very attached to her, Careyman admitted. She's very gentle, Basil agreed. Careyman then asked about Lily's absence. When Basil couldn't provide an answer, she suggested he reconsider his engagement. You don't love her, Basil, Careyman said with confidence. Basil dismissed the notion of love, but his mother asserted that love always exists, one just has to seek it. Basil then asked if she wanted to go to the club, but Careyman preferred to wait for Hala. Basil eventually took his mother to the club, spending the day with her. Lily showed up and, after a brief exchange, left them alone. Careyman soon grew bored, and they returned home. Basil tried to sleep but couldn't stop comparing Hala with Lily, feeling their stark differences. On Friday, Hala ensured her mother was cared for, leaving enough money for 2 months' treatment before taking an early train back and treating herself to new clothes. She bought a long, purple dress and black leather shoes and a matching black bag, feeling joy after years without new clothes. Upon arrival, she dressed up, and delighted with her reflection, she went to see Mrs. Careyman, unaware of the surprise waiting for her. As Mrs. Careyman reminisced about her late husband who had adored and immortalized her in paintings, Basil arrived with his cousin Mohammed, the company's lawyer, to sign some documents. Mohammed, instantly struck by Hala's beauty, could hardly focus on business. Over lunch, his flirtations annoyed Basil, who excused himself to change. He fumed in the shower, unable to understand why Mohammed's interest in Hala bothered him so much.